All right, folks, welcome back to this week's episode of What's Your Story? My name is Scott Rankin, and I'm your host. And today I'm going to tell you a story about one of our many family vacations that we used to take down in Ocean City, Maryland. So you have to think, growing up in a small community, there were a lot of smaller families. But in the light of it, we didn't take a family vacation. We kind of took a community vacation. You see, you had the Macaulays, you had the Toadies, the Swaggers, the Arduinis, Solanskis, Savages, the Yards, the Stossels, the Andersons. I mean, it was just, there were literally like 15 cars in a vacation procession going from southwestern Pennsylvania to Ocean City, Maryland. And it was just a great time. And some of the greatest times of my life were spent on that beach. But this one particular year, I remember it was a bad season. It was a bad season in Ocean City. There was a lot of rain. It was kind of dreary. And the families, it wasn't one of those ensembles of a bunch of families gone. It was kind of hit and miss, but we always seemed to stay at the same hotel. It was called the Seascape Hotel. And we left kind of early because of the weather and headed back. So there was Rich, my mom Debbie, my sister Tammy, and my grandmother Clara, and myself, all piled up in this little Mazda. We called it the Mary Mazda because it was a Mazda B2500 or B2500, 25,000, whatever, little pickup truck. We put a mattress in the back and coolers and all the clothes and everything so we could, comfortably sit. The three of us were in the back of the truck. I know a lot of you are thinking, what in the world? At that time, it wasn't as illegal as it is today. Okay, so anyways, we're coming back, and on the way down, my mother sees this wicker world, right? This wicker world. And then all it was wicker baskets, wicker everything, like wicker, 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 right? So she made a point then that she wanted to stop on the way back when we were on our way home. And so because of the rain, we left a little bit early. We're headed up the highway, and we get through Annapolis, Maryland, and everything. And I'm kind of positioned. My grandmother and my sister are in the back, but they're sitting on a mattress. They're nice and comfortable sitting on a mattress. But the mattress wasn't as long as the bed of the truck. Okay, so I kind of positioned myself behind the wheel well, and in between the wheel well and the tailgate. Okay, so sitting crossways, parallel with the tailgate, and I had my legs crossed. I was about 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there, and I can remember it was kind of uncomfortable sitting like that for a while. You kind of got to shuffle around and shift and make things a little bit more happy where they're unhappy. And I just happened to do a shifting move position, and I pinched myself in a place that, it just wasn't that comfortable. And I let out a yelp, and it's about, my grandmother looks at me, she says, what's wrong with you? And I said, and I was just, at the time too, I was just begging for somebody to switch places with me so we could rotate on and off the mattress, right? So it would be a little bit more comfortable for myself. It wasn't happening. And I tell her what happened, and all of a sudden my grandmother, she just starts laughing so hard. She's like, "Don't make me laugh! Don't make me laugh! You damn kid! I'm gonna pee my pants! And all of a sudden, before you know it, she laughs so hard, she pees her pants, right? Now, it's raining outside. We can't crank the side windows open, so obviously it wasn't a great smell back there. We opened the front sliding glass windows to let them know in the front what had just taken place in the back of the truck, and we still had about 5 to 10 miles to go on this excursion until we hit the Wicker World. Thank God we were stopping there, right? But as we finally pull in, I opened the pop-up window, and I'm reaching around to get the tailgate open to get the heck out of the back of this truck to let some air in there, right? And my sister comes flying out right behind me, and my grandmother, she kind of rolls over like a turtle, and she starts backing out of the truck. as she's backing out, you could see this like horseshoe, this horseshoe wet stain around her butt, right? She was so angry. She was so mad at me because I made her laugh so hard. So she snags up one of the towels, wraps it around her waist, as we go walking into this humongous store of nothing but wicker baskets. I don't know how the heck there could be so many wicker baskets in the world. But anyways, she makes a beeline to the restroom, right? She's doing whatever the heck she can do, to get out of these wet clothes. So she goes to the restroom and she changes out of her wet clothes. She bags her, puts the dry clothes on and bags the wet clothes, and she's a little bit more comfortable until we have to get back in the truck. Now, the mattress obviously is wet, and now suddenly my grandmother wanted to trade places with me. I was like, hey, you know what, Graham? I'm good. I'm good. I'll stay where I'm at. And my sister wanted to trade places with me, obviously, because the moisture bled over into the other side of the mattress. So now they started taking our sleeping bags, our towels, and whatever they could to put on the mattress, so obviously they didn't get re-soaked with my grandmother's pee. And so I can remember getting back in the truck and squishing myself right up against that tailgate and in between the mattress, and just being really uncomfortable for the next 7.5 hours on the road as we journey back to southwestern Pennsylvania. Hilarious. I loved it. I mean, it's just, those are the kind of moments that it's a MasterCard moment. It's just one of those things you just, only in my family, right? We were the most functionally dysfunctional family, but it was all out of love. And so why am I sharing this story with you? One of the big problems we have in life is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. In the back of that truck, I was really uncomfortable. But when my grandmother peed on that mattress, I suddenly became very comfortable being uncomfortable. In other words, I was willing to take on the rest of that journey for the next 7.5 hours, sitting, uncrossing and recrossing my legs to get in some kind of a comfortable position to endure the rest of that journey, right? And a lot of times when we're faced with being uncomfortable, we just don't deal well with it. We either avoid it or we make an excuse of why we can't do it, right? So here's the thing. If you want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, part of making you changing or transitioning from being uncomfortable to comfortable is you got to start. It's the first step of being uncomfortable. You have to show up, whether it's a new job or starting school for the first time, or going off to college, or just going somewhere into the office in the wild blue yonder. Anytime you're uncomfortable, if you're afraid of the dark, if you're afraid of being left alone, you have to be left alone. You have to get used to it, right? So the first part of being uncomfortable is just simply show up. Just start, because once you start, then the battle's half won for you, right? And it's uncomfortable to start something new. Think about it. If you want to start going to the gym because you're out of shape, well, you're so out of shape because you got comfortable being out of shape. Now you got to get uncomfortable getting back into shape. Yeah, it's gonna stink. It's hard, just like a new a diet. Because you've been doing. You got stuck in that mundane rut. Okay. Remember before, in some of my other things, I would say it's okay to fall off the wagon, just don't get stuck in the mud. So you got to start. You got to show up. The other thing is, don't quit. Once you start something, follow it through. Just don't quit. Because you're not seeing results like right away, people want to quit automatically. If your goal is to lose 50 pounds or something, or your goal is to write $10,000 in business, or whatever your goal is, but maybe you feel like you set it too high or unrealistic. Don't quit. Just don't quit, because it's just okay. You just got to keep pushing. Like Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, oh, that's one more bite. You don't want it. You're uncomfortable, but what do? You push through the pain. So you just push through the pain. You just got to start thinking your way out of it, and don't quit just to save face. Because a lot of things that we're uncomfortable with, it's the reason why we're doing it. And if you quit on that reason why, right? And a lot of times, if you want to be successful, when you quit from following your dreams or living your dreams, you just didn't quit on yourself. You quit on your family, you quit on your children, you quit on everybody that depends on you to be successful, right? So you either succeed or you fail. There's no excuses. But it just seems like sometimes just when you're about to give up, or you're pushing through that comfort zone, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, adversity hits, right? Adversity always comes in. At some point, when you start something, or you start something new, or I mean, think about it as like asking that most beautiful person out on a date, whether it's a boy or a girl, whatever, and you're just so nervous, you're just such a ball of nerves that you just don't want to do it, but it's never going to happen if you don't approach them, if you don't start to walk toward them, if you don't say something to them, if you don't begin the relationship will never start, right? And then, so just when the other guy doesn't do it, or just when you don't do it, that's when another guy was going to move in and do what you wanted to do, right? So then you got to push yourself through the comfort zone. Saying, "Oh, I've never done this before. Well, I don't know what I'm doing." Well, you know what? You're never going to do it, and you're never going to know what you can or cannot do unless you try to do it, right? So once you get to that point, you've come to the realization that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. The truth of the matter is, fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Think about that. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will, because you're afraid to do something you never started, right? So what if you fail? Fail forward. Fail forward doing something that it's your dream. Make it a dream come true. I mean, seriously, the light bulb blew up 164 times or more before they finally got the right filament to make the light bulb work, right? So, and then you have adversity. You have to embrace adversity, because, I mean, simply put, it's just, I always would say, Uncle Murphy is always around the corner. No matter how great life is going, I mean, I could be like sailing along, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm hit with adversity, right? And it's like blindside. You didn't see where it was coming from, but and some people call it Uncle Murphy's. However you want to look at it. I look at it as adversity, because the only thing it does, if you are embracing adversity by yourself, then you just take a look at sit back and take a look at the situation, and really discover how ridiculous the situation really is. What happened? What could have prevented that problem? And basically, you start building a mental and a physical toughness to overcome that adversity, right? Adversity for me is just a stepping stone to the next greatest place, and the next greatest point, the next greatest goal of my life. That's what adversity is for me, right? And then you have to surround yourself with like-minded people, because they create this support network that share the same experience, or that share the same goal that you want to reach. And the sooner you start seeking being uncomfortable with your experiences, you start to share them with your friends, and sometimes your friends can kind of give you an outside look of maybe what you should do. If they're naysayers, embrace them, because I tell you what, I love naysayers in my life. They make me stronger, because they push me to be. So when they tell me, when somebody says, "Scott, you can't do that. Scott, you're a dreamer. Scott, you're this. Scott, you're the," hey, you know what? Yes, I am. Yes, I will. Yes, I did. And yes, I will not listen to you, right? I'm going to listen to you to make me stronger. It's going to push me to reach my goals, to push myself beyond the limits, to do what the hell I want to do in my life, that's going to make a change for my family, that's going to lead my family and myself to greatness, right? Then you have to start recognizing your improvements. If you're going to the gym and you're working out, okay, so you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in the first 4 days. It's going to hurt. But in the next couple of weeks, you're actually going to see yourself getting stronger, right? Because you're building that muscle that you haven't worked before. You're going to start to see your appetite's going to change. People are going to look at you differently. You're going to walk with a little bit more confidence. There's going to be a lot of great things that happen in your life, because you start recognizing the improvements. You're becoming the person that you've always wanted to be. You're becoming the best version of yourself that you should be, right? Because you now have experience of being uncomfortable. You've gotten comfortable being uncomfortable. Now what you have to do is recognize it, right? And once you do that, this is the easy part. You repeat it, and you do it again, You do it faster. You do it better. You do it stronger. You just keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it until you become the master of being uncomfortable, right? Don't sit on a wet mattress just because somebody told you have to sit on a wet mattress. Be uncomfortable for 7.5 hours of your life. Be uncomfortable for 8 days of your life at work. If you're afraid to stand up in front of people, start standing up in front of people and saying what you need to say. Sometimes your voice will be heard later because you'll start to develop. You'll start to become a better public speaker. You'll be a little bit more comfortable, and you won't get all red in the face and start, sweating bullets whenever you have to speak in front of people. Okay? So that's this week's episode of What's Your Story? Get comfortable being uncomfortable, make your dreams come true, and know that you were created to do great things in your life, right? So if you like it, share it. If you don't, share it. Give me your thoughts. I don't care, good or bad. It's not about me. It's about you. And I hope this little message reaches you in a certain way, but pushes you to be the best version of yourself. I love you. God loves you. Take care. And see you on the next week's version of What's Your Story? Take care. God bless.